You try to avoid prison, right? Right? Well, in 1940, one man did the opposite. Here's Vito. Not only did he willingly get arrested, he volunteered for one of the worst places on planet Earth. One of the most dangerous and terrifying places if you could just hear the words come out of somebody's mouth. Auschwitz. And somehow, he survived. But that's not the craziest part of the story. Let's back up just a little bit. Before the war, he was an ordinary man. Husband, father, farmer, just like everybody else in this country. And like millions of other residents and citizens living in Poland, they were attacked by the Nazis. Germany changed everything when they invaded in 1939. Almost overnight, everything changed. Cities fell. Families disappeared. And then resistance groups began forming in secret. Rumors started spreading of this mysterious camp where people started going missing. Horror stories. This mysterious new German camp called Auschwitz. First, nobody really knew what it was. People went in, some people came out, some people stayed longer, some people didn't. But for the ones who actually came out, it's horrific. The stories were mind-boggling. No one wanted to believe the stories. The Polish resistance needed answers. They needed somebody on the inside. Someone who could find answers and figure out what was going on in this new camp. And our boy Vito, he was the one. But think about this for a second. Vito volunteered. What kind of mind do you need to have to volunteer to go into a place like this? Think about it for a second. This isn't some spy movie. This isn't some rescue mission. He was willingly going to put himself into a camp, a horrific camp at that. He wasn't forced, he volunteered to go. He volunteered to do the work. His plan was simple. Get arrested, get sent to the camp, and send out intelligence. And somehow survive through it all. So, in September 1940, Vito deliberately got captured in Warsaw by the Germans. His plan was working all too well. Within days, he was seeing all the truth of the reports that were coming out of the camp. With the gates closed behind him, he could see all the horror in front of him. All the rumors were true. Prisoners were starved. They were beaten into an inch of their life. They were worked to exhaustion. They were attacked for the smallest of things. Disease spread rampant through the camp. Unaliving was a part of daily life. But Vito wasn't just there to survive. He was there to report and get the information back to his allies. He had a mission. Secretly, he was building an underground resistance in the camp. He was working from the inside to get the intelligence outside. So imagine this. On the inside of Auschwitz, he was recruiting prisoners, sending messages, gathering intelligence, forming crews. He even had an organized secret communication system in the camp. And eventually, he started sending messages out to his allies. Those reports by Vito were some of the first reports coming out and verified what was happening in Auschwitz. The punishment, the violence, the unaliving, it was a growing scale of Nazi atrocities. But wait, he was there for years. For years, he risked his life to get that intelligence out. Every single day, he risked his life to get that information out. And it worked. His reports reached the Allies. The world was finally going to know what was happening in Auschwitz. But something really important happened. Something that shocked even Vito. Nothing. Nothing happened. The Allies didn't get him. There was no help. There was no assistance. There was nobody to get him out of the camp. Nothing happened. Could you imagine being on an undercover mission and then you had no help to get you out? That's what happened. He no longer was trying to just figure out how to send information of the atrocities. He was now stuck trying to figure out just how to survive, day in and day out, in the worst place on earth. But then he came up with a decision. He was going to escape. The camp was surrounded by guards, watchtowers, security patrols, barbed wire. Most attempts ended up with the victims being unalived. But after 3 years, he had no other choice. His mind was set. He was going to escape. Against all odds, against Auschwitz, he escaped. After reaching safety, he immediately gave them the intelligence. He immediately started writing detailed reports of everything that he saw, witnessed, and experienced. He urged all the Allied leaders to attack, to intervene, to go in right then, because the atrocities were so bad. But history always has a cruel twist. The war ended. Eventually, the camp got rescued. After the war ended, Poland went right back into enemy hands and went right back under Soviet communist regime change. They were under control once again. So Witold did what he did last time. He joined the resistance. He's a fighter. And just like before, he became a threat to that regime. And he was arrested in 1947. He was physically tormented. He was put in jail. And eventually, he was unalived. This man volunteered for the worst possible thing in World War II. Going into the worst possible camp, Auschwitz. And he survived it after years of torment, physical and mental abuse. All for him to go back into something again and to lose his life by another government. He risked everything to expose the Nazis. And for years, nobody knew about him. For years, nobody knew what he had done. But today, history considers Witold one of the bravest heroes of the 20th century. I could agree with that. He went somewhere. No, he volunteered to go into hell, to give us, to show us the evidence, what was happening. And for that, he's a brave man. But it's unfortunate he didn't get to reap what he sowed, to see the world recognize him. If nobody's told you today, don't have a good day. Have a great day.